Yeah, get out there and show us what you're made of for sure. So I have a question that's related to this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen when the PulseChain snapshot is announced? I guess maybe that's not the right way to characterize it, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Before the fork happens, it's predicted that liquidity providing behavior may change on an epic scale.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you see that playing out?
So this can happen one of two ways. Either you get a stealth snapshot that nobody saw coming, which I
Yes.
think would irritate people, right? Because then they'd be like, "Oh crap," that would change the way that they would have approached the situation. But assuming that that's not what's going to happen, and we get like a small time frame ahead of schedule to have forewarning and make some moves ahead of time, the price of Hex is going to move higher, faster, because people are going to pull the rest of the liquidity out of the pools. Because if the snapshot happens, they don't want to be sitting in a position where their liquidity gets forked over and gets extracted out by that harvesting bot. And on top of that, who knows what the front ends are looking like, and like whether or not you can quickly access those funds anyways, right?
And to be clear, the people who are in the first category who believe that a stealth snapshot is possible, those are the liquidity providers who have already probably removed their liquidity and are playing this one out from the sidelines until you know, until the fork.
Exactly. So unless
And
you're
of course,
like,
I don't have a sense like what percentage of people would be thinking that way, but we know that that's one of the possibilities. And then there are the people who do think, there's probably the majority of people I would say would think that there is going to be an announcement about when the fork will happen, what the black height will be, that sort of thing. And those would be people who would still probably be in the mix here. Now, when let's say that the fork does get announced ahead of time, like, how do you see that playing out? Do you think that people will pull all of their liquidity in the final moments, and then we'll see some like really weird price action?
I mean, yeah, they're going to pull it out, and then the only people that's going to leave liquidity in the pools are people. Yeah, only people that's going to leave liquidity in the pools are the people that can print 10 million a month, or like at least in a reasonable amount of time, right? And then they can risk having liquidity on the exchange, and for whatever reason, because there could be a big enough actor that sees a benefit in letting the price have at least something to trade. Right, but generally, I think most of our users are going to pull their liquidity, and the price is going to the coins are going to be accumulated at a rapid rate, and so you could actually see something like completely bananas happen, where like Hex hits dollar targets even before the main net even goes live, and then what happens after that? We've seen it before with Big Payday, where the fork happens, and then people decide to take profit, and hopefully somebody comes back into support price with liquidity. I mean, this would be a general like idea of what that could look like. This is like the most basic idea of what it could look like is, we could be a week or weeks away from that event. And then, and the last time we came off a 97% drop was back here in the beginning of the very initial launch of Hex. And that run up was something like this. And so why wouldn't it be that, the liquidity pools got set back to zero at our bottom here at 1.69 cents? As far I saw the USDC side of the pair get down to as low as 1.2 million at one point. So there was literally virtually nothing to trade from the USDC
That's right
side. And so I'm like thinking to myself, okay, so this is basically a complete reset on the chart. Well, then why wouldn't it be possible for the price to just go up and at least test the all-time high by then, right? Leading into this main net on people pulling their liquidity off, right? So yeah, I totally see where you're going with that question. And yeah, I do think it's very, very possible that you do get some sort of crazy move, and then you get a retracement. I don't know how much the retracement is after the fork, but people are going to be repositioning into Pulse, into PHEX, and you just got to think about the ratios of what was sacked for. I don't want to give away all the marbles, but just I've spoken on this stuff enough about what's possible with once PulseChain launches right after before the bridge goes live. And then to think about when the bridge does go live, what's the economic energy that's going to come into PulseChain from the EHEX side? Imagine wrapping EHEX you know, let's say the price of EHEX goes to 50 cents and then retraces back to 20, you can still bridge over a 20-cent EHEX to PulseChain and get a magnitude more Pulse or PHEX over there, because all those coins are starting at 0, right? So effectively, you know, you could see some insane price moves over there by bridging in economic energy from the Ethereum chain that's wrapped.